Wait, hold up. The ADHD guy made it to episode 20. Now that's the real miracle. Somewhere all those haters out there had their minds explode. 20 episodes of still here, still trying. 20 times Mike swore he'd keep it short and then didn't. And somehow he's still here, a peach monster in hand, feelings loaded, ready to talk about saving humanity one podcast at a time. Today's theme is a good one. He's got a plan, an actual plan, 5 ways to stay human when the algorithms are trying to chew us up and spit us out as hashtags. Think of it as a user manual for your soul, written by a man who still forgets where he left his phone mid-sentence. If you've been looking for something real, stay right here. And hey, hit like, follow, share the episode, do all the button pressing stuff that tells the robots we're winning. All right, Mike, Miracle Man, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Still Here, Still Trying. This is episode 20. Episode 20. Now that number hits different. When I started this podcast, I had no idea what it would become. I wanted a place for honesty. I wanted real conversations about music, art, leadership, and life. And somehow we've made it here. 20 episodes later, still building something that feels human. So first, thank you. For real. Thank you so much for being here. Every time you listen, every message, every time you've hit share or sent an episode to a friend, that's what keeps this going. That's us fighting back against the algorithm. You're helping this thing find its people who then share it, and they fight back against the algorithm, and they start to build this energy that's not so negative, not so chaotic. It's human. Let's keep doing it. And if you want to help it grow even more, again, please just follow. Leave a review. Man, I really need some reviews out there. Tap like, download a few episodes. That's how we continue to push back against the algorithms that feed negativity, by flooding the system with connection. All right, now I've got a plan for you in this episode. I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do to stay human while the world keeps pulling us apart. These are 5 practices that still work even when the feed is screaming and the headlines are engineered to divide. This episode is called The Art of Staying Human. It's part reflection, it's kind of a roadmap, but it's a reminder that even inside the noise, we still have choices. So grab a coffee or a peach monster or whatever you drink, take a deep breath, and let's get into it. Because staying human, it really does. It takes practice. And we're in this together. Okay, so step number 1. Remember what's real. I love this. You're going to love it too. Remember, the screen sells us certainty, but the real world, it runs on texture. And I love that word for this, texture, right? You scroll through a storm of anger and think the country's on fire. And then you walk outside and you smell the rain. Think of that texture. Someone's mowing a yard. Take a deep breath. Smell that fresh cut grass. A kid rides a bike past a neighbor who's watering flowers. Hear it. Listen to it. The world keeps turning. It's not on fire. It's scary, but it's not on fire. Lately, the news feels like a pressure cooker. The government shutdown, the polls, the performances. Every outlet wants to tell you who's winning the blame game. According to Reuters, about 42% of Americans approve the president's job performance. Gallup says that number drops below 30% among independents. The majority of the country sits somewhere in the middle, confused, tired, and honestly wondering why no one in power seems to hear them. Those numbers aren't just data points. They show that most people aren't extremists. They're simply trying to get through the day without being crushed between two shouting matches. The question isn't who's right, it's who's being played, and we all are. The algorithm doesn't care about truth, it cares about engagement. Rage pays. Division keeps the light on. Every headline that drags you into a fight adds another dollar to someone's ad account. The system thrives on keeping us wound tight enough to click again. So here's the secret. You can walk away. Close the tab, step outside, feel the air. Have a conversation that isn't optimized for attention. Look someone in the eye who voted differently and still see their humanity. A few nights ago, I shut my laptop down after another wave of shutdown coverage. I happened to be in Las Vegas, but on the news, everyone was yelling about betrayal and incompetence. And then I walked out onto the strip and I just absorbed it. I didn't see people fighting about red or blue. I saw people having fun. I saw people just taking it all in. People were there. Humanity is alive. The world wasn't on fire. People were just there to have a great time, right? The only sound was just Vegas, just cars and lights and humanity. And for the first time all day, I remembered that this, the sound of something larger than me, is what's real. The feed says that the world is chaos, but the porch proves that the world is still here. When I got home from my trip, I had some chores to do. I got home, I mowed the grass. We picked up our boat and took it to the shop to get winterized. I didn't see anybody fighting about red or blue. We went to the grocery store. There was not one person screaming and yelling at the other person about bananas, right? We are all humans. We are not fighting. This manufactured crisis is taking a toll on us. And when we're only staring at our screens, it's really easy to see that the world's alive. If you only watch one news source, it's really easy to see that the world's on fire. But then you go outside and you realize the world is alive. You just have to see it. Each time you return to something physical, breath, light, dirt, laughter, you break the algorithm's spell. Truth lives closer than your phone. It's in the neighbor that's struggling with groceries. It's in that quiet moment when you realize that your anxiety belongs more to the scroll than your actual life. Remember what's real. That's the first rule in staying human when the noise tries to own you. Okay, number 2. Curate what shapes you. Now, there's this really great book called The Optimist's Way. And I have a section in that book that says, what you water will grow. So curate what shapes you. Leadership used to mean service. Now, sadly, too often it's performance. It's a highlight reel of outrage and self-promotion. We've all seen the clips. Politicians talking tough into a camera, middle fingers raised toward anyone who disagrees. And sadly, when the president of the United States creates a video shitting on the people who don't support him, that isn't strength. That isn't leadership. That's bullying. And we should never, under any banner, allow it to feel normal. And if you laughed at that video, think about it. Just think about what we allowed. And again, this isn't about just President Trump. No leader, red or blue, or any shade in between, should treat citizens that way. And if you found joy in that video, please think about what you just allowed, what you taught your children. Because that behavior tells the country that loyalty matters more than truth, that humiliation counts as humor, and empathy is weakness. And when we let that slide, we tell every kid watching that cruelty is part of the job. That isn't political theater, that is moral decay. And before anyone points across the aisle, look around. The problem isn't one man in a jet with a crown on his head, it's the entire ecosystem that cheers for it. Parties and pundits have decided that destroying the other side is more profitable than serving the common good. The outrage economy runs on all of us. Every share, every snarky comment, every clip that mocks half the country adds fuel. And that's why curating what shapes you matters. The digital world is crowded with actors pretending to be leaders. They use power to entertain instead of elevate. And the more we let that seep in, the more we start copying it, even in small ways. We learn to clap back instead of listen. We learn to mock instead of ask questions. We label entire groups as crazy or evil and forget that there are real people behind every scream name. I've seen it. You've seen it. Those crazy liberals or those racist Republicans, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Not everybody's that way. Yeah, there are terrible people out there, but that's not all of us. And when we fall for the trap and start labeling everybody in some camp, we're missing the point. We've lost the human first connection. So there's another path. Mute the noise. Turn away from anyone who confuses leadership with domination. Refuse to follow people who build their platforms by tearing other people apart. Seek the ones who build. Teachers, nurses, artists, volunteers, your neighbor down the street. People who use their voices to steady, not to stunt. The middle still matters. It's where decency lives, where conversation replaces contempt. Most of us are already there, not screaming online, just trying to get through the day and care for the people that we love. Be intentional with what you let in. Curate your feed, curate your thoughts, curate the tone that you bring into the room. Because each time we treat cruelty as entertainment, we teach the next generation that cruelty works. Each time we choose empathy, we remind them that humanity still has a chance. And that's human first. That's how we curate what shapes us. All right, deep breath. I got worked up on that one. Step 3, practice slow truth. We live in a world that moves faster than we can think, feel, or even breathe. Every swipe demands reaction. Every headline is a dare. Pick a side now. Our attention's been hijacked by velocity. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking if something was true and started asking if it was trending. Truth used to take time. You'd gather information, talk to people you trusted, listen to different voices, sit with what you learned. You had to wait for the 6 o'clock news or the 10 o'clock news. Now the pressure is to post before you even understand what happened. Look, I've fallen into that trap myself. Speed has replaced substance. Watch how the machine works. A protest breaks out. A new policy drops. A 15-second clip surfaces. And within minutes, the world splits into two versions of reality. You can almost hear the algorithms choosing their winners. Who gets the rage? Who gets the retweets? Who gets burned alive in the comments? And most of us never stop to ask the simplest question. Who benefits from me believing this version of events? That question should be printed on every phone case in the country. When the government shut down again, I saw it unfold in real time just like you did. Two sides yelling into cameras, each certain that they were the heroes. And while they performed their outrage, real people were quietly trying to figure out how to pay rent. Single parents, part workers, TSA agents, families lining up at food banks. Those stories didn't trend because compassion doesn't sell, anger does. And that's what slow truth pushes back against the conversation of our empathy into entertainment. It asks you to step out of the current and see the water, to say, hey, wait a second. Maybe the truth isn't built for speed. There's a line from The Optimist Way that keeps coming back to me. When we pause long enough to notice what hasn't been lost, we start to see what's possible. And that line hits harder now because so much of what we call truth online is just noise. That line hits harder now because so much of what we call truth online is just noise. And what's been lost in that noise is patience, listening, the willingness to be unsure for a while. Slow truth isn't passive, it's brave. It means letting the smoke clear before declaring who burned the house down. It means holding space for nuance in a world that's allergic to it. In leadership, slow truth is the difference between reacting to a problem and actually solving one. The loudest people in the room usually don't know the most, they just talk faster. But wisdom rarely yells. Remember that. Wisdom rarely yells. It walks into the room quietly. It waits for the noise to settle and then tells the truth that nobody wanted to hear, but everyone needed. Remember that. We need that kind of truthing in. The kind that's earned, not amplified. The kind that can breathe. Because fast takes create fake certainty, and fake certainty kills empathy. When you slow down, you give truth a chance to show you its layers. You start to see the person behind the post, the context behind the headline, the human behind the label. You begin to understand that not everyone yelling is your enemy. Some of them are just scared. Some of them are trying to survive the same system that you are. Slow truth isn't glamorous. It doesn't get applause or go viral, but it keeps your soul intact. It keeps you from becoming another echo in the chamber. So pause before you share. Ask one more question. Let things settle before you turn them into sides. If you want to stay human, stay curious longer than the timeline allows. Because that's how we find our way back to understanding. That's how we practice slow truth. Not to sound wise, but to stay awake. Okay, number 4. Create something that can't be scrolled. I love this. Every long day reaches a point where the noise feels endless. You've read too many headlines, you've watched too many clips, and your empathy feels thin. That's the moment to choose. Keep consuming or start creating. Creation breaks the spell. Each time that you write, sing, build, paint, cook, or fix something, you step out of the algorithm's grip and back into your own life. Create by talking to a neighbor. Create connections by serving others. It doesn't have to be perfect or profitable. It has to be real. And that's it. For me, it's music. When the world gets heavy, I grab a guitar and I'm still learning to play, or I open a notebook, or I start to process something inside my AI tools and I create. And I let my mind just drift into that creation space because that's where I process the weight, the division, the fear, the silence between people who used to talk. Songs like Human First and A Song Nobody Hears came from nights when I felt invisible. Making them wasn't about streams, although it's really nice. Go check them out, go play them, right? It was about sanity. It's translating emotion into something that the noise couldn't corrupt. You don't need to make art to create something that can't be scrolled. You can cook dinner and share it. Invite some friends over, even if they voted for the other person. Cook dinner and share it. Have a human conversation and remember that being human is what drives us. You could plant something and watch it grow. You could write a letter in your own handwriting, the kind that smells like ink and carries fingerprints. Anything that brings you back into contact with the real world counts. The feed moves fast, the hands move slow, and that contrast is the cure. We're meant to make things. It's how we remember our capacity for care. It's how we hold grief without turning it into performance. It's how we build meaning from the mess. Creation isn't escape. It's how we reclaim our lives. It reminds you that you're more than data. You have texture. You have time. And you have the ability to turn pain into color, sound, motion, or flavor. And when you do, something sacred happens. The noise fades. Your nervous system finds rhythm again. You remember what agency feels like. You remember that connection can begin with your own two hands. That's why the work matters. When you create something that can't be scrolled, you give the world a moment of stillness. And that stillness heals. Okay. Number 5, stay kind, especially when it's unpopular. Kindness is resistance. It's the choice to remain human in a world built for conflict. My favorite image over the last couple months has been the goofy people in Portland in their blow-up costumes. The most famous one right now is the frog, the guy in the frog costume, right? He's standing there in front of those ICE agents, and he's not fighting. He's just there. He's present. He's in a goofy frog costume, just calling out the insanity of the moment. He's not there to fight, not there to engage in conflict. He's just there. He's protesting. He's saying, this doesn't feel right. And the humor inside the costume has it lit the world up, started another movement. I love it. Because every scroll, every clip, every thread tells you to pick a side and sharpen your claws. The louder the outrage, the higher the engagement. Real courage lives in staying gentle when the room is screaming. Be the frog. People say kindness doesn't work anymore, that grace gets you walked on, and it certainly feels that way. But every time I've tested that, grace is held. Maybe not online, and maybe not in headlines, but in the real world where eyes meet and someone feels seen for the first time all week. Anytime I've had a disagreement on the political spectrum with anybody, and if I try to fight it out on social media, it never works. It's so pointless. But if you sit down and you look people in the eye, there's real power in that because we find out that we have so much more in common. I had a listener once who told me that my music helped her through the loss of her brother. She didn't agree with me politically. She said that straight up. And then she said, we may not vote the same, but I know that your heart's trying to help. And that line stopped me cold. That's the bridge we keep forgetting to build. Staying kind doesn't mean staying quiet. It means choosing dignity over dominance. It means confronting harm without surrendering your humanity. It means standing firm without anyone needing to humiliate anyone. Our culture mistakes cruelty for strength. The loudest voice gets the camera, and the quiet healer gets ignored. Yet kindness demands far more endurance than contempt ever will. Kindness rebuilds the middle. It turns strangers back into neighbors. It keeps you from hardening into someone unrecognizable. We need leaders who understand that kindness requires backbone. We need citizens who remember disagreement doesn't cancel decency. I've seen so many public meetings where everybody just yells. Just show up. They're not there to have a conversation. They just want to yell. Yelling doesn't solve any problem ever. If you walk into a room and tell me I'm a piece of shit, I'm going to be defensive, right? If you walk in and say, "Hey, actually, I recognize that you probably have a great heart, and we might see something differently. Why don't we have a conversation about it and see if we can find a way forward?" Whew! That is so powerful. Why aren't we doing that anymore? The people that we've elected, do they lead that way? Is that what you hear from our elected leaders? No. Empathy is the only thing that scales. So when the algorithm rewards cruelty, here's the secret: walk the other way. When you feel the urge to clap back, just breathe. When someone tears down another human for sport, step aside. That's not moral superiority. That's preservation, a way to protect what's real. And at the end of the day, staying human means this: see people before opinions. Stay curious longer than comfort allows. And please, keep your heart open, even when it's risky. Kindness rarely trends, but it always transforms. And in a world built to turn us against each other, that transformation might be the most radical act that we have left. All right, so here's what I hope that you take away from today. Remember what's real. Curate what shaped you. Practice slow truth. Create something that can't be scrolled. And stay kind, especially when it's unpopular. Because somewhere beneath the noise, there's still a world that's worth fighting for. The middle still matters. Every small act of decency we choose becomes a brick in that rebuilding. If you found light in these conversations, please help me push back against the algorithm. Like, follow, share, rate the show, download an episode for the drive. This isn't about numbers, but it's about getting human stories back into human hands. The more that we spread this message and other positive messages, there's great podcasts out there. There's great people to follow on social media that are not tearing the world down. The more we spread this, the harder it becomes for negativity to win. And I'll leave you all with the reminder that started it all. I'm still here, and I'm still trying. And I am so glad that you are still here and still trying. Because even inside the noise, that counts for something. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for being here with me again. All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode. You got 5 steps to become human. We talked about just the importance of kindness. So I'm going to send you out this week with a beautiful song that I wrote. It's one of my favorites. It's called Came Here to Be Kind. I hope you enjoy it.
Didn't come to win, didn't come to preach, didn't bring a line I'm trying to teach. I just showed up heart in hand, trying to leave a lighter land. Didn't come to shine, didn't chase a name, didn't want a medal or a flame. Just held the door, just wrote the song for anyone who's been holding on. I came here to be kind, not to impress. Speak soft truth and leave the rest. No badge to wear, no war to fight, just one clear voice in the quiet night. Didn't come to prove, didn't raise my voice. Took the long road, made a quiet choice to show my scars without a shield, to be the calm that helps you heal. I came here to be kind, not to be right, not to win the room, just hold the light. No raised flag, no finish line, just steady hands and an open mind. If there's a fire, let it warm, not burn. If there's a lesson, let it earn. I came here to be kind, no disguise, to let the world see through my eyes. Not loud, not sharp, just quietly signed. I came here to be kind.